The air inside the quiet villa was thick with anticipation as Taehyung and Jungkook crept through the darkened hallway. They moved with practiced stealth, balancing a tiered custom cake and a stack of meticulously wrapped gifts between them. The only sound was the faint hum of the refrigerator and the rhythmic ticking of a clock on the wall. They had spent weeks planning this moment, ensuring every detail was perfect for their hyung's special day. Tonight was about more than just a celebration. It was about honoring the quiet strength of their friend. Suga sat alone in his studio, the soft glow of multiple monitors illuminating his focused, weary face. He was lost in the intricate layers of a new composition, his fingers ghosting over the keys. To him, it was just another Tuesday night, a time for solitude and the pursuit of musical perfection. He had long since pushed the thought of his own birthday to the back of his mind. The silence of the house felt natural, a familiar sanctuary where he could let his thoughts roam free. Suddenly, the heavy studio door creaked open, and a burst of light spilled into the dim room. Taehyung and Jungkook exploded inside, their voices harmonizing in a loud, energetic rendition of the birthday song. The sudden shift from silence to chaos made Suga jump, his hand flying to his chest in genuine shock. Sparklers atop the cake hissed and sputtered, casting dancing shadows against the acoustic foam panels. For a moment, the rapper could only stare, his mouth slightly agape at the unexpected intrusion. "Happy birthday, Hyung!" Jungkook shouted, his wide grin lighting up the entire room as he stepped forward. He carefully lowered the cake onto the desk, clearing a space between the MIDI controller and the speakers. The frosting was a deep, elegant black, adorned with silver stars and a miniature piano made of sugar. Taehyung followed closely behind, draped in a fuzzy cardigan and carrying a bag overflowing with expensive ribbons. The cold night air they brought in with them felt refreshing against the warmth of the electronic gear. Suga finally found his voice, a small gummy smile slowly spreading across his face as the shock faded. "You guys actually came all the way here for this?" he asked, his tone soft but filled with warmth. He tried to maintain his usual cool exterior, but the sparkle in his eyes betrayed his deep appreciation. Seeing his younger brother standing there, breathless and excited, touched a part of him that words rarely reached. He leaned back in his chair, finally letting the tension of his work melt away. Taehyung began narrating the mission they had undertaken to sneak past the security gates without being noticed. He described their coordinated movements and the near disaster of almost dropping the cake in the driveway. His storytelling was animated, filled with dramatic pauses and hand gestures that had Jungkook doubling over in laughter. Suga watched them, shaking his head in amused disbelief at their chaotic energy and unwavering dedication. It was clear that they had turned a simple visit into a grand, memorable adventure. The three of them gathered around the small desk, the cake serving as the centerpiece of their makeshift party. Jungkook produced a set of gold-colored candles and insisted that Suga make a wish before blowing them out. The room fell into a brief, respectful silence as Suga closed his eyes, his expression becoming uncharacteristically solemn. He took a deep breath, the flickering orange flames reflecting in his dark pupils for a fleeting second. With a single sharp exhale, the room plunged back into the soft, comforting glow of the monitors. Jungkook immediately began slicing the cake, serving generous portions onto paper plates he had hidden in his jacket. The rich chocolate flavor was a perfect contrast to the bitter coffee Suga had been sipping all evening. They ate with enthusiasm, the conversation flowing effortlessly from music production to ridiculous inside jokes from years ago. There was no pressure to be idols here. They were simply three friends sharing a sweet moment in the dark. The studio, usually a place of intense labor, felt transformed into a cozy den of friendship. Taehyung then reached for the largest gift, a heavy box wrapped in textured, midnight blue paper that felt like velvet. "This one is from both of us," he said, sliding it across the desk with a look of immense pride. Suga unwrapped it slowly, peeling back the tape with the precision of someone who truly valued the gesture. Inside lay a vintage, limited edition vinyl record that he had been searching for across 3 different continents. His hands trembled slightly as he ran his fingers over the iconic cover art, stunned by the gift. "How did you even find this?" Suga whispered, his voice thick with genuine emotion as he looked up at them. Jungkook leaned against the doorframe, crossing his arms with a satisfied smirk while Taehyung beamed. They explained the months of tracking down collectors and negotiating with international sellers just to get this specific copy. It wasn't just about the price. It was about the history and the inspiration the music provided. Suga carefully set the record aside, treating it like a holy relic that deserved the utmost respect. The night continued with the opening of smaller, more personal gifts that reflected their unique bonds with each other. Jungkook gave him a set of high-end noise-canceling headphones, customized with Suga's initials engraved in silver. Taehyung's gift was more eccentric, a handcrafted stone sculpture for Suga's garden that supposedly promoted creative zen. Each item brought out a different side of Suga's personality, from the professional producer to the quiet nature lover. They laughed at the absurdity of some gifts while being moved to silence by the others. Eventually, they moved from the studio to the living room, collapsing onto the oversized sofas in a heap of limbs. The fireplace was crackling now, throwing a golden hue over the modern furniture and the scattered wrapping paper. Jungkook put on a playlist of lo-fi beats, the tempo matching the relaxed post-cake atmosphere of the house. They talked about the future, about their dreams, and about the quiet fears they only shared when the world was asleep. The bond between them felt indestructible, forged in the fires of shared hardship and global success. Taehyung stood up to make a mock toast, holding a glass of sparkling water as if it were the finest vintage champagne. He spoke about Suga's wisdom and how he was the pillar that kept them grounded during their most turbulent times. Though his words were laced with humor, the underlying sincerity made Jungkook nod in fervent agreement. Suga looked down at his lap, trying to hide the fact that his eyes were glistening under the dim lamplight. He hated being the center of attention, yet he cherished these rare moments of unfiltered brotherly love. Jungkook then shared a story about a time Suga had quietly helped him with a difficult vocal arrangement without taking credit. It was a memory that had stayed with the younger singer for years, serving as a reminder of Suga's hidden kindness. These anecdotes filled the room, painting a picture of a brotherhood that went far beyond what any camera could capture. They weren't just colleagues or teammates. They were a family that had chosen each other time and time again. The warmth in the room had nothing to do with the fireplace and everything to do with them. As the clock neared 3 a.m., the initial burst of energy began to fade into a comfortable, sleepy haze. Taehyung stretched out on the rug, his head resting on a discarded cushion as he scrolled through photos of the night. Jungkook was half asleep against the arm of the sofa, his breathing slow and steady in the quiet room. Suga sat in his armchair, observing his younger brothers with a profound sense of peace and contentment. He realized that this was the best gift he could have ever received, a moment of true belonging. He got up quietly to cover Jungkook with a nearby throw blanket, tucking the edges in with a gentle fatherly touch. He then nudged Taehyung, whispering for him to move to the guest room so he wouldn't wake up with a sore back. The two younger men grumbled playfully, their eyes half closed as they stumbled toward the hallway in a daze. Suga followed them, making sure they were settled before returning to the living room to tidy up. He moved with a light step, his heart feeling lighter than it had in many months. The kitchen was still messy with cake crumbs and empty plates, but Suga didn't mind the chores tonight. As he rinsed the dishes, he thought about the lyrics he had been struggling with just a few hours ago. Suddenly, the words began to click into place, inspired by the laughter and the sincerity of his friends. He realized that his best work always came from a place of connection rather than isolated brooding. He scribbled a few notes on a napkin, the melody humming in the back of his mind. Before heading to bed, Suga returned to his studio one last time to look at the vintage vinyl record. He placed it on the turntable, lowering the needle with extreme care to hear the first few notes of the soul music. The crackling sound filled the room, a warm and nostalgic tone that matched the mood of his soul tonight. He sat in the dark for a moment, letting the music wash over him like a soothing rhythmic wave. This was a birthday he would never forget, a milestone marked by love rather than just age. He eventually turned off the equipment, the lights on the monitors fading out one by one until only moonlight remained. The house was silent once again, but it was a different kind of silence, one that felt full and vibrant. He walked down the hall, passing the rooms where his brothers were sleeping soundly under his roof. A sense of responsibility and gratitude washed over him, grounding him in the reality of his wonderful life. He knew that no matter how big the stages got, this was his true home. Suga climbed into bed, his mind finally quiet and his heart full of the memories they had just created. He looked at the group chat on his phone, seeing a blurry selfie Taehyung had posted of the three of them. The caption simply read, "To our best hyung forever," followed by a string of heart emojis and stars. He drifted off to sleep with a smile, knowing that he would never have to face the world alone. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight, he was simply a man loved by his brothers. As the first light of dawn began to creep through the curtains, the lingering scent of chocolate and extinguished candles remained as a gentle reminder of the night's festivities. Taehyung and Jungkook were now fast asleep, their presence filling the quiet house with a rare sense of domestic peace that Suga rarely allowed himself to indulge in. He stood by the window for a moment, watching the world wake up, feeling a renewed sense of purpose for the year ahead. The music he would write today would be different, infused with the warmth and laughter that had echoed through these halls just hours before. With a final satisfied glance at the Polaroid photos scattered on the coffee table, capturing their messy grins and half-eaten cake, Suga quietly turned off the last lamp. The birthday surprise had been more than just a celebration. It was a recharge for his soul and a testament to a bond that fame could never erode. He retreated to his room, the melody of their friendship still humming in his mind, ready to face the future with his brothers by his side.